September 2021. We spent 40 days cycling to all 15 UK national parks. A relentless 60-mile-a-day tarmac gripping and body smashing charity challenge.
We hit our fundraising target of £2,000.
Don't get me wrong, it was a wild experience that took us to some of the most beautiful parts of the UK, but it also taught us a few hard lessons. Number 1, ride too fast and the world zips past in a blur with no chance to take it all in. Number 2, stick to roads and you'll often just scratch the surface of the natural surroundings. Number 3, more often than not, the quickest route is not the most scenic one. Number 4, saddle sore is no joke, but that's a completely different story. And so, a few months down the line, getting that adventure itch again, we wanted something completely different. We swapped our road rippers for mud monsters and went from cycling the longest road route around the UK national parks to riding the UK's longest continuous off-road route, the Pennine Bridleway. An 185-mile epic with 40,000 feet of altitude change, going from Derbyshire through the peaks to the Yorkshire Dales and finally into Cumbria. It's wiggly, indirect and remote, travelling along the hilly spine of the Pennines almost exclusively on off-road tracks, rough bridleways, muddy single track and rocky lanes. Oh, and we'd never really done any off-road touring before. We also left in the middle of winter, slap bang in the middle of 2 massive storms. Fitting the trip around work, we had 6 days booked off in February and couldn't move them around. This just happened to land in between Storm Dudley and Storm Eunice, with 60-mile-per-hour winds, flooding and freezing temperatures. All in all, pretty damn character-building cycling. But our spirits were high.
Trail there, path there, we go.
Our late train gave us a few hours of punishment from gale winds and minus 6-degree temperatures before finding camp.
In 3 words, describe today.
Tough, tough, tough.
For 2 fresh-faced off-road cyclists, it was a baptism of fire. But nothing was dampening our spirits. It felt bloody brilliant to just ride, not bothered about distances or end destinations. We just rode, slowly and all over the place, but with grins on our faces. Miles from roads, we were right in the middle of sprawling landscapes, and that's just what we wanted. We went from riding to pushing, and then from pushing to sliding. The mud was no joke. With the wild conditions, slick mud and short days, by the end of our first full day, we'd only cycled about 20 miles.
So this is a really scientific method that you can use as long as you have grass. You take a piece of grass and throw it up into the air and see which way it blows.
Oh, it's blowing that way.
So we're going to camp here with this wall as shelter.
Miraculous.
And shine the light. Josh's airbed, so you see all these little segments. It's all meant to be like this, but the chambers inside have popped.
So we are now in a sticky situation because it's really cold. I need a decent sleeping pad. And
you ain't got one.
He got one, and now we're in the middle of nowhere. We took a diversion to an outdoor shop. New one bought, old one sent home. Then off to climb Winnet's Pass and rejoin the trail. And when you're not in a rush, detours stop feeling like setbacks. This half-day diversion became a good opportunity to eat some cake, wash the bikes, and take on one of the UK's most famous climbs. It kicked our arse though.
Seated. Sarah is going strong. Go on, go.
Happy holidays.
Cheers.
We're back on the trail with a camping pad. So much of this trip has been spent pushing. Before it was weather, now it's just really hard. but we're nearly at the top.
Waking up to a beautiful sunrise, it's easy to forget how quickly things can change up in the hills in the middle of winter.
It's never a good sign when you have to start the day with waterproof trousers. And we're just going up into the cloud. Ready?
I guess so.
Numb face, stubby fingers and toes before even starting the day. The winter conditions were grueling, but you just feel stoked on by the landscape around you. It fills you with this raw energy that helps you power up climbs, shrugging off the elements. Now in the heart of the peaks, it's these kind of hills we'd seen from a distance on road tours before and just felt gutted we couldn't properly explore them. Now we were riding straight through the middle of them, and it felt so good.
Second breakfast.
Gone in literally 5 minutes. Hello. Yeah. Sun has come out, it's windy, it's a bit cold, but it's beautiful. We've made it to the top of the hill, and now we're going to go down the hill. So it's probably another hill.
Getting to day 5 and the winter riding had really taken its toll. The trail was grueling and smashed the bikes. Filthy uphills on wet cobbles and slick mud that clogged your neck and had your wheels spinning. The wind cut through you, the cold chilled you to your bones, and it was a constant battle to keep warm. But not too warm, because if you sweat, it'll be game over when you stop cycling.
So child climbing. So it's cold, it's quite windy, it's been really wet. Some of the route is just like completely uncyclable fast anyway. It's really grueling, like it's so hard, but it's just so beautiful. It's incredible just spending you know, a week almost all off-road, away from cars, in just these absolutely amazing landscapes. Just being surrounded by just nature the whole time is just, you can't beat it. And I think if you work for something, it makes you appreciate it so much more.
The moody clouds made it so atmospheric, and when the sun did break through, it blew you away. With not a soul in sight, just you and the trail. Nature therapy at its finest. It's all enough to forget the agonising wind. For a little bit, at least. We'd learned from our lessons and taken things slow, but that also meant we'd reached our final evening and hadn't really covered too much ground.
It is really cold and quite windy. We've got some hail.
Found this bit of foam on the ground, so we're going to use it to throw that.
There's a bit of extra insulation.
Where are we? There we are. So it is. I'm blinded. It is our final evening, and it's very cold. We couldn't find anywhere to camp for a while, and now we're tilted this way so we can feel the blood going to our heads.
But we're pitched against the wind, so that's a good thing.
But yeah, it's going to get to -4, so we've wrapped up in every layer we have, and
And we're still cold.
it's still
And
cold.
we're freezing.
So here's to you, wherever you're watching us from. I hope you're warmer than us.
Cold. Fingers are numb.
Really cold pack up. Fingers feel like stubs. Can't see a thing. Yeesh. But today is our last day, and we are not near Kirkby Stephen. which is the final point. I think with the weather how it was, the gear malfunctions and taking diversions, and just us also like not wanting to smash it and enjoy the ride more, we're not gonna finish it on this trip.
Sure, we'd frozen our butts off and been overcome by mud, but there was just something about those remote landscapes and off-road trails that stuck with us. We only had a few weeks left living in the north of England, but didn't feel like we could leave without seeing how the rest of the route panned out. And so we made it our mission to cross the finish line before we up sticks and left, no matter what it took.
Right, so I am back on the Pennine Bridleway. Now, March. As you can probably see, it is blue skies, sunshine, and it is really quite warm. Also, Sarah's not with me. Everything at the moment is so crazy because we've been asked to move out of our house. So we're in the middle of like packing, and like piecing days together is not so easy. So I'm gonna do this section and then me and Sarah will finish off the rest. My right eyebrow seems to let me down. I've just constantly got a stream of sweat pouring into this eye. Oh god, this is so bumpy and uphill. And I can't see anything because of this bloody suntan lotion. It's really cold. There are so many gates.
Going solo, teaming up, day rides and overnighters. Taking our time to finish off the Pennine Bridleway felt like the perfect send-off to such a magical part of the UK. Heavy rain then sunshine had turned the floor to a sticky slush, but it didn't last long. The skies were blue, spring birds were in the air, and we were lapping up our last ride through these hills.
Above us we got a tree full of starlings who are singing loads. The sun is shining. We got these inquisitive guys.
Guys.
And that means 2 happy cyclists.
And then it came to the final section.
And this is where we left off last time. This time with a tent. Still blue skies. Still pretty windy. The final leg to go. I keep thinking how to explain what is the big draw to this, to the Pennine Bridleway, because it's hard, it's quite rocky. There's bits which for like anyone other than extremely good cyclists is just uncyclable, but it's just, there's something really incredible about it, and it's something to do with these big open landscapes and being like far away from people, like the little charm of like going through the Pennines and these northern towns. But then also it's just, you're not going anywhere fast and you're definitely not going directly. You're taking these massive big detours, and the detours are pretty much just to keep you off-road and in these landscapes, these like big open beautiful natural landscapes. It's just the best kind of detour. Definitely some of the most incredible cycling I think we've ever done. But this is absolutely amazing, blowing us away, like around every corner. It's just like, oh my god. This is the best thing I've ever seen. And then the next corner, wait, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Sometimes you just get to hurdles, just can't cross them. What do we do? Come on guys, play nice. We mean you no harm. Oh god, they're not moving. Merci. So we were saying, obviously our experience the first half of this trip was very, very different. And not the type 2 fun, yeah. Not that we didn't enjoy it, but it's a different kind of pleasure. It's kind of like a little bit sadomasochistic kind of pleasure. It's about 30 miles left. We're going to get a train home tomorrow. It's so well signposted that we can just cycle. We don't really need to look at the sat nav. We don't need to know how much further we've got to go, how far we've done. Yeah, so relaxing.
Home sweet home.
So this is our last evening on the trail.
It is.
After months of preparation, then weeks taken on the route, this last day felt pretty magic.
Trudy and Trevor, looking fine.
It's been too long. Let's get away from the cold. Where would you go? I'll take you there. It's a long way to any.
This last part had taken all the painful elements from the first half of the ride and just thrown them out the window. Besides the wind we had for the whole 182 miles. And besides the hills were painful the whole way too. The climb up Barbor Fell was a real screamer, but for the best things in life, you've got to work for them.
This last climb is an absolute killer, but the views are just amazing. There's literally no one else around for miles, just these massive open landscapes. Very nearly at the top, I think. This is the final descent. Down here, drop down, get to Cape Stephen.
We'd learnt our lessons. Going slow had kept the grin on our faces through bitter conditions and let us properly soak up our surroundings. Taking detours had shown us beautiful parts of the UK that we'd never had seen, and ditching roads took us right through the heart of landscapes, giving us a whole other perspective and leaving us in awe of the natural world. We'd even avoided saddle sore. This was definitely a tale of two halves, but it was a chaotic mix of storms and then blue skies, grueling climbs then blistering descents, mishaps and memories that made the Pennine Bridleway a ride we'll never forget. And like all good adventures, it left us absolutely craving the next one.